And where you are, Anne-Marie? Where are you?
We're live streaming.
Hold on, Vitel. We'll get you back. You can ask her in a minute. Hey. This is conductor Chris Johnson from Obless. We had a long stoppage, not because we wanted to, because we had to help people. And that's what Oblessivians do. Well, there's a new name. I'm glad to see y'all back. Yeah, we don't got a big number, but that's okay. We're going to start this back up again and get people back on the Obless train, because very soon you're going to have your magical link. And when that magical link hits, you know what's going to happen after that. We have a very interesting show to start off. I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Vitel Smart. He's got a couple phenomenal people with him. And I'm going to turn over. You know about me about rules. Have fun, enjoy. If you got to do something, walk away, turn your camera off, and then come on back. Mr. Vitel, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you very much, my friend. Appreciate all you have done and during the migration. Welcome to all the brand ambassadors. Hope you all are fully migrated and ready to go, ready to roll. And Chris, I really appreciate you, my friend, that you give us this chance to just to highlight some things that we feel very near and dear to our heart, and something that we're going to be helping you, helping and passive with Obless, working with Obless. We have a nice lineup tonight to kick off Obless after several weeks. We have Jeff and Yana. You all know them. They were the dairy farmers that were on here once, and they had a real huge show. Chris told me that he has never had so many hands raised in one of his shows before, like Jeff and Yana. I also have Rosemary, Anne-Marie, sorry. Anne-Marie, and you all know her. You know, she was here before. So we are going to be tag teaming tonight. Jeff and Yana are going to kick off the show by giving us like a follow-up on the last appearance. And then we get into another area where they want to do us to how to preserve food, how to freeze and preserve food. And so I will come in and do the shelters for abused children in Jamaica, the land of my birth. And I welcome to all these Jamaicans who are on the call tonight. If you're not on the call, get on the phone and tell them to tune in, because, we're going to be lighting up Jamaica tonight. All right, so without further ado, I'll pass over the baton to Jeff and Yana.
Good evening. How's everybody tonight?
Hello.
Well, just a quick follow-up on, what we talked about several weeks ago was the small farmer. We're dairy farmers, so we're the small dairy farmer, like you see in the book. We're the family farm. We're not commercialized. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but we choose to be the smaller farmer to preserve what we do to pass on to our children down the road. And it's been a very, very tough road for us being the smaller guys because of inflation and just everything going up. So we're really having to be real creative on everything that we do. So one of our goals here with Obless was to be able to level the playing field for the small guys like us, to make it a little easier for them, not so much to have to struggle. We want to try to preserve this small family farm function, because it's dying, it's going away. A lot of people, they still like to come to visit the family farm. They want to see what you're doing as a family and how you are raising your children and this and that, through farming. And if you really think about it, farming in general, we're 2% feeding 98% of the world. And that's pretty tough to do when you have a lot of people that are just not knowledgeable of what we really have to go through to get everyone that product. On our end, it's milk. We're dairy farmers. So we produce raw milk that then goes out to a processor that goes to your store. Currently, right now, our milk is actually going to Mayfield, which I thought was pretty neat. The other thing is we want to also talk about food preservation and how can we get products, whether it's dairy products or food, fruit and vegetables or whatever, meats, preserved to get out to shelters, people that's been hit by storms, however we need to do that. And we've really been doing a little research on the freeze drying end of it. And we found that when you preserve food, usually it goes in the order of freezing, canning, freeze drying. It kind of goes with the level of longevity. So when you freeze dry, you're going to actually get the longest shelf life out of your food without destroying any nutrition. And I'll let my wife speak to that.
Yes, hi everybody, blessings. So good to see you, all of you. I'm so glad you invited us back on. We are excited about that. It's been way too long, and we've been communicating with Vitel, we've been in touch, and of course, our daily work has to keep going. So, I'm dealing with the situation right now we're dealing with, but we are excited to be here, today. But as my husband was touching on some of those things, we've been really, since our last call, we've been really talking about what should be our foundation, or what should be our base, or what should be our starting point. Because, as a farmers, we have so many different options and opportunities, because, not only, yes, for us would be the dairy product, but we also have a land that we can actually grow a lot of different things if we wanted to, but it takes, it takes people, it takes help, it takes money, it takes all of these things, which, it's just me and my husband and one of our helps. So we definitely need the people for that to be able to do that. But, after our last meeting, we were sitting in here and try to figure out, okay, what should we concentrate on? What should be our first starting point? Where can we start? Even like right now, where can we start? Okay, so as we were talking about all these different ideas, from me myself, I'm already a homemaker, I'm a dairy's wife, so we have a land, so I grow a lot of stuff, I have garden, we have all these different things that we grow. I grew up in Europe, so my grandmother taught me how to preserve and can. I know, Chris, you were talking about it today, that you were canning some pickles. Anyway, so I was like, hey, there's someone who can relate to, there's someone who can relate to canning. But, I was taught about food preservation since I was a little girl. So to me, I keep that in my home, and I keep that going because, we have the farm, I want to teach my children. I want to make sure that they carry that on to the next generation, because it's important, because it's really disappearing from out there. And so as the dairy farm and dairy life. And I think last time we talked about a lot of the farmers just around us that going out, and we just actually got back from the dairy conference in Savannah, which we go every year. So we were able to meet with probably about 500 different farms from all around in US. And we always get really good information and ideas, how to do things better financially, or however that goes on a farm. But so we definitely, our hearts, you guys already know, is to preserve really the farms, the small dairy farms, and to help the farmers, because that is our industry and that's what we want to concentrate on. But as we were talking about this food preservation, we were going back and forth. I was like, well, I'm already canning, and canning is good. You can preserve the food and do different products, and preserve it probably maybe year, maybe two, because I had some product that it's sitting, my pickles is sitting in my thing. I was like, let's go in 2 years. I was like, let me open it, see if it's still good. And to the surprise, it's still good. So I was like, okay. So as we were, putting our heads together in here, I was like, I've been researching freeze drying for a long time. I'm a researcher. I go in and I don't buy a product until I research and really, really know, and I'm sure about it, that it's gonna work for me and my house. So I was, for years and years, I've been, hearing about freeze drying. So I started researching freeze drying. I said, well, how can that help us in here? How can we preserve the food also for the longevity of the food, and not just maybe a year or two, but how can we preserve a food for a long period of time? But, not only preserve it, but looking at the nutrition side of it, because, I always look at the nutrition side of it and make sure that, okay, if we decide to do a project, and let's say we decide to do a project and we start doing a freeze drying. So, there's a two different type of freeze drying. There's one that you can do commercially, and then there's one you can do, you can do at home, because they have machines that are small enough, that you can purchase and put it in your home and start it that way. So as we were like talking about it, I said, well, if we can get this funding going later on, and if we can get people invest in that, we can definitely go into the commercial. But then we were talking about, we were researching in two different ways. And we really, our hearts are really set probably on the home drying, because, you can purchase multiple machine and get the kind of same result. And instead of the commercial machine, because the commercial machines are just, they're very, very expensive. And then we were thinking, oh, well, if it's something break on them, what is the cost of the fixing that against fixing this? But anyway, I'm not going to go into the details of all of that. But, we were thinking about, okay, if we have, if we can preserve this food, and it's with the freeze drying, why do we want to preserve the food? Like, what is the most important thing for preservation? Like we were talking about, different things, storms and things, natural things happen, and lack of food and lack of things, right, on the shelf. Like we've seen that through the COVID and things like that. So so why do we preserve food? For the very things, but we don't want to just preserve them for a year or two. With the freeze drying, and when I was doing my research with the freeze drying, not only the freeze drying, you can pretty much freeze dry anything and anything except the oils. So it can go from eggs, milk, liquids, ice cream, fruits, vegetables, meat, anything. You can pretty much freeze dry anything and everything. But the important thing of freeze drying for me, what really catch me was the nutritious value. Because with the nutritious value, with freeze drying, when you freeze dry and when you reheat or reopen the package back on, let's say after 10 years, because it says it can go anywhere from 10 to 25 years shelf life. So because I purchased before some, freeze dry food, and I was like, well, let me try it. I want to try it before I purchase machine. I want to try it. I want to see what it tastes like. I want to know if it's true what they're talking about, what they're saying. And I did. I purchased some strawberries and some, a couple snacks and things like that. And I tell you what, I opened that thing. I was like, this thing tastes delicious. I'm like, how long this has been in this package? So I was like, I can deal with that. This is pretty cool. So I wanted to try it before I wanna, go ahead and start doing it on a large scale. Go ahead.
And I also wanted to interject too, when you do the freeze drying, it does not require refrigeration after the product is already freeze dried and put up. So think about these places, villages, countries that these kids have no food. They live in a hut, in a dirt tent, or whatever they're in. This food can get to them. It does not require any refrigeration, any preparation. It can be ready to eat. And when you're thinking about this, you're looking at packaging. So normally, let's say you would package an ice cream bar, in the size of an ice cream. You know what the size of an ice cream bar is, right? Ice cream sandwich. Okay, so let's say you get 8 of those in a pack. Okay, they weigh pretty heavy, right? So imagine having a whole trailer load of those. But if you could freeze dry those down, for example, if you could freeze dry those down, you could probably cut that weight probably in half or less and still have the same flavor and the same look. Because I tried an ice cream, one of those ice cream sandwiches, and it was crazy. That thing was dry as a bone, didn't weigh nothing, tastes just like an ice cream sandwich. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. And it was crazy. It was like space food. And but all these things, I've been thinking too, transportation, packaging, shipping. How can you can ship more product for the same amount of money because it doesn't weigh as much. So now we have, now we're getting into, we can add more tonnage and all that stuff when you're shipping out to wherever it's got to go. And then packaging, it packages up very in small little packages. Everything is really neatly in a Mylar bag. It's neatly packed, very organized. And I think, with all that being said, you can even do prepared meals like say for instance, at your house, say you make a thing of lasagna, you have leftovers, you can freeze dry it. You can freeze dry that lasagna and it'll keep for 10 or 15 more years. It's unbelievable. Look at all the waste, all the food waste that's coming out of these grocery stores. What do they do with food when it's getting close to going out of date? Okay, they either sell it at a discount or they throw it away. Okay, so why can't you take that food and put that through your freeze dryer, and now you've just extended that shelf life 25 more years possibly, and the waste has went to minimum, to none.
Yeah. And as I was researching, I have my little packet in here. It says average American family food waste per year, it's about $2,275. That's how much average American family will waste the food. I mean, I don't know my house, we farmers, so we eat everything and anything, but I know, for us too, we are guilty of it all. Some food, we don't have, we forget about it, or it's at the back of the fridge or things like that. And so, as I was reading, I'm like, oh my goodness, that's a lot of food. We see it all the time in the restaurants. We have people, a lady come here, she actually is coming tomorrow. She's goes to Panera Bread and she gets all of the leftovers of Panera Bread, whatever they don't use. It's a good stuff. And she brings it to us, and then she brings to different churches and extended, in our area. And I'm just thinking that's just one facility that's coming out of. Think about all the restaurants and stores. Publix, huge, Publix is huge, and different places. I'm like, oh my goodness, if we can take some of that and we can freeze dry it and we can preserve it. And even if we ship it to the places when there's a disaster or people don't have a food for a week, or like we went through the tornado, no electricity, I couldn't cook for 2 days. I couldn't cook any meals. So I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? What do we do, right? So if we have that on hand, it's really easy to, freeze dry it and then put it on a shelf. And then if you wanted it, you just take it out of the package, and either you put it in a hot water or just left it on the counter. And once it's thawed out, you just eat it. And then rather if it's a leftover, if it's a cooked leftover or anything like that, you just reheat it and it's done. And it tastes exactly the way that you have, let's say, freeze dried 5 years ago. It's just amazing. I was blown away because I've been researching this for years. This is not just like, oh, this is just my little project, but I wanted one of these machines in my house because I want to start doing it in my household first. But for us, obviously right now we're not gonna get it, but I really, really want to get this machine because it has a lot of benefits. And why do we want to freeze dry? So I have a couple things in here when I said emergency preparedness. For emergency preparedness, if we can do this on a large quality scale, think about how many people we can bless, or we can go in those areas. I don't care if it's a single mom that cannot afford a food, or we can just bless them over there, or if it's a church down the road, or if it's somebody who got hit by the tornado, hurricane, and they don't have a food. It's easy. What I'm saying, it's already prepared and it's easy. But not only that, but it's the nutrients that it has in it. So for me, it's important. I'm kind of like an overload. I like to look at nutrients. I want to make sure that just don't put in our bodies things that are just because they are there. Let's say people overseas that, some of the children in orphanages, places like that. I know like a lot of the US, they send in food overseas, but a lot of the times it's cereal, and a lot of the things like that. But you got to think about these kids, they need those nutrients in their body for them to grow and grow properly. So that's just my mindset. That's just me personally. Like I like, I don't like to just give a leftover. I want to, preserve a good food with the good nutrients. Also healthy living, community, food storage, and long life show, like we talk about, with the freeze drying. Also, what are one of the benefits that with the freeze drying, with the freeze drying, first of all, you got nutrition, taste, savings. It says it keeps nearly all of the nutrients value of fresh food and retains flavor and color. And it does not require no high temperature that will destroy much of the food value. So with the freeze drying, because you freeze drying, because it's a different process, that's why it keeps all of the nutrients, because there's a no high temperature process in it, if that makes sense. I don't know if anybody understands. Sorry, but maybe I'm going overboard. I don't know. I'm just going with it. But anyway, so it's just amazing what I'm saying, what we can do with this. And I know it's a lot to process. I have a lot of notes and a lot of things in here. But just thinking about going from canning, and canning is great, and I still can. But if I can, me personally, if I can't have this machine in here, and I know for me in my household, a lot of the stuff that we have on hand, or if we go to the store, it's like, oh, I can, let's say Publix has buy one, get one free chicken or something like that. I'll get a bunch of that. I'll prepare that and freeze dry it, and I can have that chicken for those circumstances when they appear, which is always great. I think every family, I mean, like for us, we just got hit by the tornado and we never really thought. I was like, oh my gosh. So we just completely thinking different right now, because it's for us, it's important to have a food on hand in those circumstances, but not only for those circumstances, but also for others, for community, and things like that. So
there's actually people not far from us that got wiped out, and they're actually in the town about 30 minutes from us. I think it's tomorrow. They're actually giving out free food over there in the little town just east of us. Mm-hmm. I think it's either it's not far, but I mean, I just seen it on Facebook. They said that they've advertised, if you need food, we have free food available for you, for everyone that got hit by the storm. So, with this whole preservation thing, what we were talking about with the difference between the commercial and the home, and it makes a lot of sense. The commercial units are quite expensive. Okay. They go by, the amount of poundage that they can do per unit. So let's say their cheapest commercial one is, I don't know, $100,000, and it may do 20, let's say it does 20 pounds of food or 50 pounds of food in one cycle. So let's say if we get the larger of the ones that you do for your home, say those are maybe $5,000 a unit. So and they do maybe 10 pounds of food or 5 pounds of food. So let's say we had 10 of those. Okay. Now 10 of those at $5,000 is what, $50,000. So now you've got those set up in a room and you stage them. You're going to get the same amount of poundage of food out as you would with one commercial unit. But what if your one commercial unit breaks down with your food in it? You just lost all that. But if you have a bank of smaller units, one unit goes down, now you only lose what's in that unit, and you're still going on moving on through. So what's nice about those is, and it kind of segues into, a thing that Vitel is going to speak on later, is when you do these, like a shelter or a community for a homeless or whatever the case may be, you can set a facility up in there with these dryers and actually have people in there working those facilities. Now you created a job for somebody, and now you're preserving the food to feed that area, that unit. And then the overage can go out to the community elsewhere too. So there's opportunity there, you know, with by doing that and getting the food in there and keeping everyone healthy. Because at the end of the day, it's all about your health. You know, what you're putting into your body, you know, really is key. It's going to affect you on how you feel, how you perform, you know, everything, you know. So just think with these, I was just thinking, you know, my wife purchased one of those kits, and it's freeze-dried food from this company. So it's enough food. It's enough food for a family of 4 for, I think it's what, 3 months?
Mhm.
It's like for 3 months. And so you pay X amount of dollars for that. And this freeze-dried stuff is not cheap. You know, it's pretty expensive. And if you know, so if we can get that going to where we can put that out to people, I think that it's not going to be about the money. Okay. It's about the quality and the preservation of these families and these children moving forward. And just like on the farm side of it, like on the dairy side of it, you know, you can freeze dry milk and then you can reconstitute it back with water.
Mhm.
So now you'll have regular milk again, or you can, you know, use it as is.
Mhm.
So, you know, that right there is pretty huge, you know, like say for a farm of our size, you know, we're a small farm, but you know, we could actually take some of our milk and put it through, you know, through that process and freeze dry it and then have it to where it can go out to
Well, it can go a lot,
to
yeah.
whoever,
It
wherever.
can go a lot of different places, you know, single moms who can buy them. Like I know there's a lot of single moms and mothers that they can't, you know, they can't even buy a gallon of milk. So it's a lot to cover for sure. But you know, frozen food, let's say frozen food will last you up to 2 years. Canned food probably 3 years if you can can it really good. Dehydrated food is good. It lasts up to 4 years, but it loses its value. So every food will lose its nutrition, but with the freeze-dried food, you know, it goes anywhere from 15 to 25 years. So and you know, this is just like a you know, we got a lot to cover in here, and I don't want to take anybody else's time. I know Vitel's got to come on and Anne's got to come on, but we just wanted to talk about it because, you know, this is something that I think we can do really well, you know, when Bless and everything kicks on. And I know we can help in different areas, you know, to be send it out, whatever it needs to for somebody's needs. So if anybody has any question or anything, you know, you can reach out. I mean, I'll be more than happy to educate people about freeze drying too. You know, freeze drying is not a new thing. You know, this is coming along all the way from World War II. They used to freeze dry back in a day. So I feel like we've been so long kind of behind everything. It's like we going in a circle and now it's coming back. We just didn't know about it, you know, because there were so many other things that were put in front of us that we were taught, and we're like, okay, this is the only way. So we just want to touch up on that and bring that, you know, right here to you guys and kind of share our hearts. Of course, you know, our hearts is always for the farmers. So that's where we're gonna be. We're gonna concentrate when everything takes. So we really want to concentrate on helping the farmers, the small farmers, helping them and preserve the future of the farmers. Because if a lot of the farms start disappearing, which they already are right now, and we just been witness of, you know, a lot of other ones that are going out, small farmers, because we were just talking to a 25-year-old. He's been farming since he was 18, and he's thinking about going out next year because he just can't do it. And, you know, he just got married and they got a little boy. I think he's a year and a half. And so it breaks your heart because, you know, if there was no farmers, then there's not going to be no food no more, you know, the good quality of food like it used to be back in days. And so our hearts, it's to preserve that and, you know, help in that area, but not only the farmers, but our hearts really go way far and beyond, you know, whenever we can help with the food and things that we can do that you know, we have been gifted in, which is farming, then that's where we want to reach out.
And the last thing too is that we also have the resources to be able to go to, let's say, Jamaica, the Bahamas, wherever. And if they're interested in setting up a small dairy farm there, we have the resources to bring that that type of knowledge and equipment over there and get it constructed over there, and the resources to teach them how to do all that and be self-sustainable in producing their own dairy products for maybe that area or that community and things like that. So, and even over in, you know, wherever in Africa and wherever that need would be, you know, we would be able to get the knowledge and the equipment and everything to set up over there to get something like that going for people in that area, or however that needs to look. You know, we're willing to do that. And we have, like I said, we do have the resources, and you know, we have the availability of the technology, because everything now is moving into technology. And so we have all that available. You know, we just need to put it to use. You know, wherever it needs to be, you know, whether that be, you know, building a like using our farm as an example for a model to bring people here to say, okay, this is what we can do over there for you. We can do this exact same format for you over there, and we can teach you how to run it. We can put people, you know, help you put people in place and be sustainable. And so, you know, we could even use our place as a training ground, you know, however we would need to do that. But that's just another sidebar that we have available.
I have a question for you there. Did you say that the shelf life is 25 years?
10 to 25.
15 to 25. Yeah, 15 to 25 years. Mhm.
Without losing any nutrients?
Yes, without using any nutrients. That's what I love about freeze drying, because when you freeze dry something, let's say I take a pack of strawberry and want to freeze dry them and I want to preserve them. And so I freeze dry them and preserve them, and, you know, put them in the Milo bags with the little pack of, what is it called?
It's the little
dry pack that you put in there.
the moisture
Um,
pack
the
to
moisture
keep
pack.
everything dry.
And
Okay.
you put it on a shelf, and that's the beauty of the freeze drying, because it has not only a longevity of a shelf, but also the nutrients in it. So when most of the packs, what you do, let's say I want to take that pack of strawberry and I want to, you know, unfreeze them, however, or take it. So you'll just take you take them, either put them on a counter and let them, you know, naturally just unfreeze, or you put them in a warm water, and the pack with the warm water, and then you just take them out and just eat them. Or you can actually eat them freeze dried too, like that. They're delicious like that. So
Okay, thank you very much. That goes to a project that you and I have been talking about. These food banks, maybe that could work, because now we have our eyes set on that project also. Anybody have any questions
Yeah.
for Yana? Raise your hands, and, you know, any questions? No questions about freeze drying? All right, Vinette, go ahead.
So Jeff and Jan, I was just wondering if those require any kind of preservative or additives to keep it, to give it a long life.
No,
No,
No?
it's the process of the freeze drying, what do you call it, the machine?
it's the way that the machine brings the
It's
temperature
machine.
down.
Yeah,
And they
it's
do everything with
freeze drying.
very, very
So,
cold.
I don't have one here in the house, but I'm gonna get one.
It's freeze drying and there's a vacuum that's created to pull the liquid out.
Mm-hmm.
So as this thing's being vacuumed, the liquid's being vacuumed out, it's bringing it down to, you know, to really, really cold temperatures. And that's how you're getting the preservation, because it's pulling that liquid out of it. That's why you cannot freeze dry oils, because you cannot pull the liquid out of an oil. So I don't think there's some things you can do like peanut butter and stuff like that, but it's a real difficult process to do that. Probably wouldn't be something we would want to get into because of the fact that it would just be a little bit more than we want to bargain for. I think if we stuck to our basics and had a pretty good outline on what we wanted to do with the products, I think it would be more than we bargained for with that to get going, like that, between some liquids, like some dairy products, milk, eggs, then you got meat, vegetables, fruits, and stuff like that can be done. And you can even do, I believe you can do yogurt, you can do ice cream. It's wild to freeze dry ice cream.
Wow.
Yeah, so to your question, Vinette, I have my pack in here, so I'm just gonna read out of it. It says in here, comparing to various methods of food preservation, it's important to remember that there are 3 things that can cause food to deteriorate, which is heat, water, and oxygen. And freeze drying and proper packaging overcome all of those factors to allow long-term storage. So it's a different, like my husband says, it's a completely different type of drying. Like, I dehydrate food in my dehydrator, but even though it's good to dehydrate the food, it's a great snack. It has a good nutrients. It loses the nutrients because there's the heat applied to it. And we know when there is a heat applied to anything, so like say preserving cans and things like that in a store, it goes through facility, heats up. That's how it's preserved. So by the heating, same thing with milk. They bring it, let's say you take a raw milk, right? And you take it home and you want to preserve it. You got to heat it up to the certain temperature to preserve it and take whatever the bacteria that you want to take out of it, right? It's the same process with other different foods, that are being canned, even if it's a canned peas in the cans or carrots or whatever it is, that's how they do it. So it loses the nutrition in it by that process of heating up. What with freeze drying, it's completely different. I mean, if you want to know more about it, I'd be more than happy to navigate you. If you want to learn more about it, I'll be more than happy to send you some stuff and websites you can look it up. I mean, it's a great education. I've been educating myself. I'm always about education, so I like to educate myself when something new comes up. But I've been researching this for years. This is like not my just first rodeo, and I don't have the machine yet, but I know a couple of my friends who do, they have it and they love it. They said, we love the freeze drying. And and I know that I can trust them because they that's what they do. They are homesteaders.
Got it.
So yeah, I mean, it has a lot of benefits. And if you have never tried a freeze dry food, it's in the stores. You can buy it and you can try it. You can go and it's everywhere now, isn't it?
I would encourage everyone to go check it out.
Just
if you get something small, just go check it out.
John and Jeff, if you guys like, put your website or that website and your contact information. I got quite a few people text me how they can get a hold of you. So put it in the chat. Put that website in your contact, not necessarily your phone number, or your email or whatever, so they can get a hold of you and talk to you about it. So anyone that's texting me and asking me, Jana and Jeff, can you put it in there, or Vitel can put it in there? That would be great.
Yeah, I can put it.
Yeah, she can put it in there.
Put in my email address. That's fine.
Okay.
Another
All right, you put your
question.
oatmeal in there.
Considering that your cows are homegrown, what can you say to those who do not believe in dairy products?
Who do not believe in dairy products.
Dairy
Wow.
products, they don't believe in it.
Well, okay, so for myself, I would put it in there like that. I grew up on milk. I grew up in a backyard with my grandmother. And so milk was the number one in my house. It's always been, and I know for generations since, oh my goodness, way back, right? 1800s, 1600s. We talked about this last time when we were on, on Oblast the first time. We talked about it, how back in the days, all the family has was a land. Well, what did they have to do with the land? To grow their own food, right? They have, if they had a cow, you know, almost every family, guarantee you, want to have a cow because they do want to have the milk in their house. You know, they grow vegetables and thing. And if they didn't have a land, they didn't really have an opportunity to have a food, but because they didn't have all these grocery stores like we have today, they didn't have that. So, you know, we want to help people, even educate them in that, because it's so important. Dairy has such a important role in the nutrients, especially milk. Okay, and from milk, a lot of things are of course made, like cheese, yogurt, butter, and all of these things. So, you know, just for the sake of, you know, even I tell people when they have a children, you know, we talk about it last time, you know, I feel like milk has been so misrepresented for so many years, and it's been taken from when God has given us something. It was so nutritious and good, you know, man-made will come and behind it and took it completely to different direction. And I feel like a lot of people want to go back. We're going backwards. People want to learn how to garden. People want to learn how to grow their own food. They want to know, how can I get a fresh farm, fresh things? Because, you know, I do have a little store here in my thing and on our farm. And a lot of people lately, they're like, what can I get from you? What do you have? What do you grow? They even ask me, how do I can? How do I do this? So I'm approached a lot about these things. So we want to also educate people about, especially for your children, especially for your young children.
You
I
know,
understand, because
you
Vitello and
asked
I
about the,
farm in Jamaica, and we grew up in natural cow's milk and goat milk, so I understand.
well,
Yeah.
see, so let's just think about this quick little scenario. Has everybody watched or familiar with Little House on the Prairie? I always go to this and use this example. So let's say 150 years ago, what did everyone have in their backyard, in their barn? They had a milk cow. They milked her by hand in a bucket. The milk went in the house. What did everybody have at dinner? They sat down and they had their dinner with a glass of warm milk. They went to
Yeah.
bed with a glass of warm milk.
And for
There's
breaks,
so much benefit with milk. They're using milk now in place of in sports now, in place of your energy drinks and your Gatorades and your Powerades. Chocolate milk now has become one of the main refuel drinks for a lot of the colleges playing sports, because of all of the natural sugars and everything in it, and all of the natural electrolytes in the milk and stuff that they're using. So a lot of the kids are refueling with chocolate milk on the football field, on the soccer field. That's what they're putting. They're putting these in the locker rooms, in the high school locker rooms and everything. And milk's making a big comeback in the schools with kids. You know, there's a lot going on with that. But you know, let me back up to, a lot of kids don't realize where milk comes from. They have no clue. They think they get it from the grocery store. They don't know where it starts and how it gets to that gallon jug in the store. You'd be surprised when we do field trips here, how many kids don't know that milk comes from, this is where it starts on a dairy farm. It's unbelievable how these kids don't know that. And so, you know, it's also in our hearts to do agritourism here on the farm, educating kids and educating groups on where their milk comes from, how their milk is handled. You know, milk's not the bad guy. Milk is the good guy. Okay. So, you know, we need to keep that in, we need to keep it in our schools. We need to keep it in our households. We need to get back to drinking that milk with our meal.
And we do have, we do have a lot of stuff for the children, and we do have a lot of brochures and different materials that would be, if anybody interesting to even learn or wanted to know, and maybe has been misrepresented, or maybe they're curious, you know, because I know a lot of people these days, they do a lot of different options. A lot of people are lactose tolerant. A lot of people can handle milk. A lot of people, you know, and there's a different options, and we're not saying, hey, don't do that, don't that, but we just, you know, for us, it's very important. You know, my children grew up on a whole milk, and that's all I'm going to give them until they decide for themselves what they wanted to do, because I know it has a certain benefits, you know, has a nutrition, a lot of good nutrition in it that it's important for our bodies to grow and our bones and different things. So there's a lot of different vitamins that has benefits for our bodies. So, you know, I can't, it's hard to say, hey, just drink a milk, because I know there's a lot of different options these days. You know, back in the days, that's all it was just the milk. You know, now these days we have a different options. So, but I do want to encourage people, you know, to go back to those, you know, wholesome products, because there's a lot of good benefits that that you can get for them.
Thank you.
Okay,
You're welcome.
are you happy, Vinette, with those answers?
So thank you. Thank you, Jeff and
all right.
Jana. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Lori, you're up next. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I
All
like
right.
I like hearing all this because, you know, my daughter, she cans and stuff, and I've been having issues about the food products that we have in our stores and all the processed foods, and you know, and we have a lot of illnesses and cancers, and things are not good in our foods, and that needs to stop. And
Yeah.
there's no reason for it. You know, why do we have titanium in our cereals? The dyes, you know, that cause, it just freaks me out. I got all food in my fridge. I'm going to throw it away because it's just garbage. You know, you're just a regular hot dogs. I don't even want to see my kids eating a hot dog, you know, and I want to somehow fix the foods in this world and stop those people. In my heart, it's nonsense, but it's on purpose as far as I'm concerned. But anyways, like I like that freeze drying thing there that my daughter cans and stuff, you know, and I'm used to having a cow ranch, horses, you know, pigs and all that stuff. And that's where I'm
Yeah.
going back to. But I like the freeze drying thing, you know, because I was just saying, okay, we could do a lot of canning, you know, but that freeze drying, you know, like I'd like to have a fresh green bean. I don't like going to and opening a can of green beans that taste like mush and don't have no food value in it, you know. But
Right. Exactly.
Exactly.
And so that's, you know, there's so much our hearts wants to pour out, and I know we don't have a lot of time, but I will put our email address and
yes,
a contact information, and you know, I understand your heart, because you know, I was too misrepresented by a lot of different things, but I started doing my own research, which, you know, we do have access to the research these days, and there's so many different things we can go on. So I'm a researcher. I will go and I will research before I
Yeah.
buy something. I will research it. So I've been researching dry freezing now for a really long time, and I know that it has such a great benefits, and also storage. You know, with canning, you have to buy jars. And remember during the COVID,
Yeah.
everybody bought the jars. There was no jars in the stores. Like, oh, now everybody wants the can. I'm like, I don't have no jars. That's like everybody.
well, it's kind of like where'd the baby milk go?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, exactly. So, you know, for those purposes, even with the milk, if we can dry freeze milk, and if we can send it to the places, like when there was this shortage of formula, dry powder milk, you know, reheat it, mix it with the water, give it to your baby. You'll have a lot more nutrients in that than any formula that has been made into the powder, because they add those things, you know, into the formula. So, you know, I educate myself. So I want to, for my children, I have 2 boys. I want for my children the best. And if I can do the best for them, I'm going to do the best for them. And, you know, a lot of the food that are here in US, I come from Europe. So a lot of the stuff that is added here in US are banned in Europe. You can have that in those foods. You can have
Right.
those ingredients in those foods. So,
Well-
you know, I educate myself. So I know there's a lot behind it, but we do want to help, and our hearts would be with this freeze drying. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not package it, and why not store it, and then, you know, have a facility when we can send it out when it's needed for people? Why not doing that? You
Yeah,
know,
because
so-
you know, when you're gardening and farming, you got all that extra, you know, and I
Exactly.
see that going to the food banks and things, you know, was my ideas of, you know, overflow and giving it out. But I like that
Mhm.
freeze drying thing. I'm really interested in that instead of the canning.
And you know, and it's not only fruits and vegetables, but it can be prepare meal, like we were talking about. Let's say you have leftover, or let's say you're just gonna prep. Let's say you prepping for next week and you want to do chicken noodle soup, and then you do lasagnas, or you do chicken and broccoli, or whatever it is, you take that. You can. My husband's just gonna bring what I vacuum seal, our broccoli or whatever, but you take that, yes. No, and one from the porch. And what you do, let's say you prep the meals, you do chicken soup. Now you're like, okay, you have a little extra time. You put it in a freeze dry, you put it on your trays, you put the chicken noodle soup on your trays, you freeze dry it, right? Then you put it in a Milo bag, seal it, you put it on a shelf. Guess what? 10 years from now, when you need that chicken noodle soup, or let's say you get sick and you don't, my husband don't know how to make a chicken noodle soup. I'm the only one who can make a homemade chicken noodle soup in this house. So when I'm sick, nobody can make me the soup that I need for my body, right? So I'll tell him, hey, pick up that package from the shelf. Can you heat that up for me? And it will have the same nutritious value as I packaged it 10 years ago. Why not do that? Think about things like that, even in your own home, right?
Yeah.
So right here, like this is not freeze dry, but this is just, let's say I grew greens. I don't know if you can, you're not gonna be probably, okay, you're not gonna be able to
Probably turn
see
the
it.
background on.
Anyway,
Very-
I have a pack of greens in here, and this is just vacuum seal. So I just vacuum seal this, right? And
Yeah.
I freeze it. Well, it's a great method. It's awesome, but freezing only, even with the vacuum sealing, it only probably will last for like a year, right? Maybe a year and a half.
Do you
So,
vacuum seal
and-
when you freeze
and
dry
it-
too?
No, you don't. This is just the vacuum seal my stuff. I put it in a freezer. But no, you don't need to vacuum seal or anything. You just put it in a Milo bag and then you put it on a shelf. You date it, you put it what's in it, and that's it, So and plus, let's say I have everything in a freezer and we have this storm, we have this tornado for 2 days. I have to be worried what my food is in a freezer. So with this, what freeze drying, what I'm saying is there is no you don't have to refrigerate it. You don't have to, you store it. It's perfectly stored. It's in these little tiny Milo bags. You put it in Milo bags, and you don't even need a cellar, or extra space for those cans or those jars, because I have to put my jars now in a different area because I have too many of them. I don't have a space in my house. So I'm like, hey, how great would it be to have this dry freezer, freeze dryer, so I can just store it, and pile them up and have them on a hand. So,
I definitely like that.
mhm.
Anyways, I'll get some info somewhere from Chris.
Yes, I'm gonna type my email address and information in the chat. That way you
Got a
guys can.
website, Jana? Jana, you got a website they can go to also?
I can put the website where I get all my information for the freeze dryer, and I'll put it in the chat.
Okay, send it to, Jana, send it to me and Vittel too, so I can send it out privately to some people that are asking also. Okay,
You can send it to me, Chris.
Lori, any further questions? Are you satisfied?
I'm satisfied and happy.
All right, all right.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Romola, Brand Ambassador Romola,
Hi, I don't want to
step
take,
up to the plate next.
can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
loud and clear.
So I sold to the natural food industry for 25 years, and I used to have a freeze dried machine, but when I moved to Florida, it cracked.
Mhm.
So there are lots of storms. So I just wanted to show you, because I have freeze dried food for like a month in case something happens. So this is a broccoli dinner bake.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
We,
this is-
we have the
this-
same one,
this is
Patriots.
Chicken a la king. Okay. This
Mhm.
is mac and cheese and all these other things. So this is so easy to store. And God forbid, there's a tornado or a hurricane or whatever. It's so easy. Here, these are banana chips, and also they do have
Mhm.
powdered milk. So I am totally behind what you're saying, because I think that especially now, with how the storms are going nuts, I think it's really
Mhm.
great to have, because all you have to do is add water.
Wow.
Yes,
So that's,
yes.
I totally, and I think it's a wonderful idea to be thinking about sending this kind of stuff out
Yes.
or whatever like that. I think it's great. So that's all. I just wanted to show everybody, you know,
Oh,
that
I appreciate it. We do
have
have,
Patriot.
we do have the same kit at home. We do purchase from Patriots
yeah,
and
they have a lot of,
um,
yeah. Mhm.
yes, yes, they do, and they're wonderful. So we do keep them here for emergency. And you know, when the tornado hit, I didn't even think about it. I was like, oh, we got a food in under the bed in a container.
Mm.
Think about it anyway, but thank you for reminding us. Yeah. So, you know, but think about it, if you don't have to, even for yourself, if you don't have to purchase, because it can get expensive, you know, if you have a family 4 or 8. So, you know, let's say you do have that machine home, or you do have, you know, the availability. You said that you're crack, and if you have the availability to purchase one more, because money is not an issue, I would do it in a heartbeat. I would do it in a heartbeat and do it again, and prepare myself, you know, for what's ahead. So but I know, you know, those
I think it's a
machines,
great
you know,
idea. That's what I, you know,
Yeah.
I'm right on board with that. Well, thank you. I don't want to
I-
take it. Back.
I appreciate it, Ramola. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ramola. There are some brilliant ideas coming out there, Yana and Jeff, with this free drying business. And I think with what Obless is going to be doing all over the world, this is a very good idea to latch on to. And we'll be talking more about it.
Yes. Thank you, Vitel. Thank
All
you,
right.
Chris.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Excellent presentation. Thank you. Give them 2 hands, not 1, 2. All right. All right. Now I'm going to be stepping up next with my presentation about the Shelter for Battered Women in Jamaica. So I have a PowerPoint and I need some help here. Share my screen, Chris.
Go to the bottom and see that little green button that says share screen.
Yeah,
Click on that.
okay,
I now can see your Zoom.
okay.
So you just got to put what you want up there. It's really
Okay.
simple, actually.
Yeah, it's pretty simple.
There you go. You can make it big and or just keep it that size and go through all your things there. If you want to make it bigger, whatever is easier for you, Vitel, we'll be able to, we could see everything.
Okay. And so you see my slide 1.
Yes, yes, we do.
Okay, okay, very good, very good. Now, thank you again, Chris, for this opportunity to make this presentation for the battered women sheltered in Jamaica. But when I speak about Jamaica, it's not only Jamaica, because what I'm going to be sharing with you is all over the world. Sadly, what is true. And so what I want to do before I get into the full presentation, I want to just tell you a little about myself. And the reason why this project means so much to me. You know, I was born in Jamaica, in a little village in parish called Manchester. And I grew up there, and my dad and my mom were farmers, they're not dairy farmers, they were real farmers. And my mom was this loving, caring, prayerful housewife who kept the family glued together. And so my mom gave birth to 15, let me say that again, 15 children. And I was the 3rd one. My brother died when one of my brothers, he was a twin, and he died when he was about a year old. So he left with 14 of us, 7 boys and 7 girls. So I grew up in a family where I was always surrounded by women, my sisters. And then my mom taught me one thing when I was growing up. It says, you know, you got to learn to do everything. The only thing that a woman can do that you shouldn't be able to do is to have babies, she told me. So she taught us from an early age how to work around the house, how to help one another. And my sisters, you know, we all grew up and we went to school. I was the first one of my family to have gone to college. And I came away to the United States, and that was another first. And so all my siblings, including Vinette, who is on the call right now, she are here in this country. But my heart is always in Jamaica. And so while growing up in Jamaica, I was surrounded by sisters, and I was very protective of them. And one thing you don't do is mess with my sisters. And so about 2.5 years ago, 3 years maybe, I got a call from somebody I knew in Jamaica. And she was calling from her neighbor's house. And she was distraught. She was in a panic mode and needed help. And I said, what happened? And she says, well, I was being abused and I have to run out of the house. And right now I'm talking to you from my neighbor's house and I said, so you don't have nowhere to go? She says, no, there's not much place down here to go. We have to just, go back home. I said, whoa. And after she explained her story to me, I said, man, after listening to the Wheeler story, I said to myself, I got to do something about this. Because this is not the first time I've heard about this situation in Jamaica. It's been going on for a long time. And I said to myself, what would you do if that was one of your sisters? What would you do if that was I have 3 granddaughters, it was your granddaughter? What would you do if that was your daughter? How would you handle it? And I said, well, at that point, I said, I got to do something. And so I started to watch Obless, and I said, in Unpassive, Obless is the way to go. And I'm going to be talking to Chris, my friend Chris, and he was very gracious to allow me to come on this platform and share what I'm going to be sharing with you today. And so that being said, that's a little about my life story. I'm living in Florida right now, not too far away from Mr. Ash. Put it that way. I live in Central Florida, and we see all these spaceship take off all the time, going up there into the atmosphere. So we know what it's all about. And so what I'm here to share with you is, these are the things that motivated me now to start to look at, doing something, to start something in Jamaica that I think is going to spread to the rest of the world. Because, we in Jamaica, we are always spreading stuff, spread reggae music, we spread it to the rest of the world. We have the world's fastest athletes, we spread that to the rest of the world. And for a small country like Jamaica with just about 3 million population, we have a lot to brag about, but we also have a lot to be sad about. And one of the things that we are sad about is the way women are treated, and children too are treated in the society. And so we need to use our platform here. Mr. Ash has given us this platform here, and he says, we're going to be rooting out all this corruption and leaving no one behind. Not those kids, not those abused women. Not on this our watch. It's not going to happen anymore. We're going to do something about it. And so we have a mission with what I'm starting here, and the mission is to design and develop some physical structures and humanitarian programs to eradicate or minimize the chronic problems of abuse among women and children in Jamaica. That's our mission. And then our vision is, as we envision that our programs are fully implemented, individuals in our targeted group, like those battered women, shall be rescued from their abusive environment, shall suffer less abuse, be given the necessary assistance to restore their battered image and self-esteem, and be reintroduced into society in hopes of living a normal lifestyle. That's what our vision is. And so let's look at the definition of domestic violence. Well, you know, it can start off, you know, people think it's something to play around with, but domestic violence is, the definition is any abusive, violent, coercive, forceful, or threatening act or word inflicted by a member of a family or household on another member can constitute domestic violence. It's plain and simple. And so, let me move on, I'm sorry. And so I'm going to give you another definition. And I'm going to play a video for you. And this video is by a lady that I came across. I know who she is. She's a senator. She's in politics in Jamaica. She's Senator Olivia Grange, and most people refer to her as Babsy. So let's listen to this video and hear another definition.
There are countless victims of domestic violence across Jamaica. Some sadly will not make it out alive. Domestic violence or intimate partner violence claimed and created too many lives. Neither men nor women are there, but government is taking steps to cripple its inviting and far-reaching grip on our society.
Cabinet has given approval for the amendments to the Domestic Violence Act, which would serve to strengthen the law.
To the United Nations, domestic violence is a pattern of behavior in any relationship that is used to gain or maintain power and control over an intimate partner. It is any physical, sexual, emotional, economic, or psychological action or actions that influence another person. One of the amendments made to the Domestic Violence Act is the inclusion of a comprehensive definition of the term.
The definition will make clear that domestic violence is not only physical, but also psychological, emotional, and sexual, and may occur in situations where intimate images are exposed to inflict harm on a person, among other situations.
Another legislative change will be the expansion of the category of people who will be allowed to apply for protection orders on behalf of an abused person. Government will also expand the conduct or behaviors that the court may prohibit the respondent from engaging in under a protection order.
This will include a prohibition on taking possession of or damaging a property that the victim may have an interest in, as well as directing the perpetrator to pay compensation for monetary loss incurred by the victim as a direct result of conduct that amounted to domestic violence. And also directing the perpetrator to relinquish firearm license, firearm, or other weapon to the police and other orders that the court may deem appropriate.
Another modification will be the widening of the threshold to be met in obtaining protection orders from the court. This is to give greater protection to those who need the orders to keep abusers away. And additionally, government will be increasing the penalty for breach of a protection order.
The current penalty is $10,000. We want to see the penalty move to $1 million or imprisonment for at least 1 year.
Though these amendments will go a far way in strengthening the law, perpetrators cannot and will not be punished unless persons speak up and speak out against domestic abuse. If you or someone you know is in a violent relationship, reach out to the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment, and Sport for help immediately.
They can call 876-553-0372. We will get to you and we will ensure that you get to a safe place. We have the call lines for the men and we have lines for the women. Feel free to call us. We are here to help you. That is a commitment of this government.
Wow. Now, I came across that video. I said, that was one of those videos that when I listened to it and I listened to all those amendments, but are they really working? I mean, are they really working? Because as far as I'm hearing is violence gets worse and worse nearly every day. And so government steps in and to give it support, but the women are still being abused. The children are still being abused. And so let's take a look at something else. How do we recognize domestic violence? How do we recognize it? The partner put you down or call you names. Various ways to recognize it. Stop you from seeing your family or friends. Gets you angry when drinking alcohol or doing drugs. Shows sign of jealousy, accusing you of being unfaithful. Tells you when you should wear what you should wear, where you can go, and how you can spend your money. The abuser says that you cannot visit a health care provider. Begins to threaten you with violence or with the use of a weapon. Punches you, slaps you, kicks you, chokes you. Your children are also your pets. Forces you to have sex or to participate in other sexual acts without your consent. Tries to put the blame on you and that you deserve what you get, it's your fault. And the abusers threaten you and tell those who are closest to you about your sexual orientation or gender identity. And so most women, they are afraid to even talk about it. They're afraid to talk to their friends about it. They just take the abuse and stay home. Now, let's look at that direct focus on Jamaica. more than 1 in every 4 women in Jamaica is experience intimate partners, physical and sexual violence in their lifetime. Let me read that again. 1 in 4 experience abuse in their lifetime. And the first comprehensive Jamaica National Survey on gender-based violence revealed a prevalence of 27.8% women affected. Additionally, 1 of every 4 women, which is about 25.2%, has experienced physical violence at the hands of a male partner. Well, what blows my mind more than anything else, some of these abusers, they are respected people in the neighborhoods. You know, they're not just a typical guy off the street. Some of them are prominent pastors, preachers, business people. You know, and so here's a quote from a lady, a wife of a prominent lay preacher. It's, I moved out of the main bedroom to the guest room. After a few days and after prayers, he came in and wanted sex. I refused, and he locked the door, and the children could not hear, and he had his way with me. I felt raped and violated. I got over it because I reflected on the fact that he's my husband, but I'm still angry to this day. In the morning, we both went to work as if nothing happens. As if nothing happens. And so that's a story, that's just a quotation from one of the abusers. And so let's look at the global aspect of it. Because this is not just Jamaica alone we're talking about. Now we're talking about things that happen globally. It's estimated that 1 in 3 women worldwide experience either physical or sexual violence. The data shows that violence against women and girls permeates every society, every class, every race, every geographical areas, and every age group. That's it. And this is not me speaking now. This is the United Nations Women's Regional Director for America and the Caribbean. That's she speaking. In the absence of a reliable data, it is not possible to adequately treat, reduce, or prevent violence against women and girls. UN Women has invested significantly in supporting member states in strengthening capacities to fill the data gaps in violence against women and girls. So this problem is not only a Jamaican problem, it's a worldwide phenomenon. And so what I see, I'm starting here with Obless, is something that is going to spread all over the world because everybody is having problems. And so we got to deal with it. Now, let's look at the battered women's shelters. What are they? What are they? The main places women and their children can go to escape danger of violence. A refuge where women can feel safe and know that their batterer can't hurt them there. It's used in cases of emergency and are typically open 24 hours a day. So that's what we want to do. We want to establish something that is open 24 hours a day. Now, how do we go about setting up one of these shelters for abused women? First of all, we got to conduct a feasibility study. We develop your structure, contact the city, raise money, locate a house, a real estate agent, rent a post office box just for so that your identity is not shown. And that place has to be so secure that you have to build a 6-foot wall, slat wall around the yard for privacy. And make contact in the community so that you can refer your clients to agencies that will help them meet their needs. And so this is how to set up a safe shelter for women. Now, let's move forward. Services at a domestic violence shelter may include the following: housing and meals. Meals could include freeze dry, that we talked about there. Information and referrals, educational programs, a crisis line, support groups and counseling, housing assistance, employment assistance, taking care of personal and medical needs, child care, assistance with restraining orders and other legal matters, accompaniment to healthcare and legal appointments, transportation, and addiction services. Okay. Now, we're looking at setting up a prototype in Jamaica that could benefit the world. And we're not looking at, and passive. We own 2 floors at the Burj Khalifa building, 2 floors. We are, Mr. Ash, the man that I know, the man that you know, the CEO that you all know as brand ambassadors. He's not into anything that is not first class. Everything that he touches has to be first class. And so what we are looking to do is to set up a prototype. As a matter of fact, 3 of them, 1 in each county, because we have 3 counties in Jamaica, 1 in Cornwall, Middlesex, and Surrey. We put 1 in each county. And they will all be first class. We're talking about 10 bedroom and 5 bathrooms. Each bedroom shall be large enough to accommodate 1 double bed and 2 single beds. Living room equipped with emergency pull-out sofa beds. Small computer phone room for internet access. Dining room. Games and TV rooms large enough to seat 30 residents with theater-style chairs set in. This room shall be used to accommodate religious services, or connect virtual training, counseling for any other miscellaneous indoor activities, kitchen and pantry, storage room for food and laundry supplies. Also come with a minivan that is tinted with glass tinted so that nobody can recognize the abused person when they are being driven away or are driven into the compound. And also a driver. And so that's what we are looking to set up in Jamaica. And so when we look at this prototype, we know that we're going to start putting a dent into what's going on there. And even the children in Jamaica, even the children are protesting against it. I came across a video which was a few years old, but I'm going to play it so you can hear what the children are saying. Listen to it.
Invention is an act of determination. Go where you couldn't before. The all-new Pilot Trailstorm, part of the Honda line of rugged vehicles.
I'm sorry, I'm having the wrong video here. Let me take another one. Let me play this one. Let you hear this one because I have this. Everybody know who this guy is.
Vittel, we can't hear nothing, Vittel.
You can't hear it, Chris?
No, but Vittel, we gotta be careful with copyrights too issues, playing other people's songs.
Okay.
I know Bob Marley is one of my favorites of all time, but probably should pass this one. I'll go right to the video you want to show about the kids.
Yeah. Hold on a second there, Chris. I get it.
No sound, buddy. No sound.
Turned out in the
You know, you're no sound, Chris?
On Friday, September 28th.
Now we can.
An incident of sexual violence against women and children. Government ministers, opposition representatives, and members of civil society groups were among those demonstrating. The organized action came 4 days after 5 females, including an 8-year-old, were raped. In another incident, an 11.
I'm not sure what's going on here with the sound. I'm hearing it on my side.
Yeah, we were hearing it there for a second there.
We can hear it a little louder.
Huh?
We can hear it, but make it a little louder.
No sound.
Vittel, there's no sound. Just let it run through, Vittel. Maybe we did hear sound after this.
Hear it. You're not hearing it, Chris?
Now we can hear it right now. Yeah, let it play.
Against women and children. Government ministers, opposition representatives, and members of.
Hear it now?
Loud.
Yeah, go a little louder.
In 4 days after 5 females, including an 8-year-old, were raped. In another incident, an 11-year-old girl was hospitalized after allegedly being impregnated by her granduncle.
This is not a pleasant time for any of us who are mothers and who are Jamaicans. Children make up 33% of our population, a little under 900,000. The crimes that we're denouncing this morning, the one that has taken place in St. James, in St. Ann, are just 2 of the highlighted ones that we know of. Just this week, many of you might not be clear, but we've also had girls who are on their way back to children's homes who were raped on their way home from school. We also have children at hospitals, when I visited, who are there on wards because of abuse from their relatives. This is not a good time for our country because it symbolizes that our children are under attack. So we're calling on the nation at this time to report. We're asking children, we're going into communities, and we will not stop our efforts until child abuse and sexual abuse is stamped out of this country. And I think, and every one of you, just think of that 8-year-old child. Just think of it. Their privacy invaded. We unite. There be government opposition. No peace. No peace. Sometimes I say to myself, we've done there, we've been there, we've done that. But today is the beginning of stopping, been there, done that. From today on, we must get tangible results. Minister Faulkner, and through efforts that have been made by Minister Hannah, it has been a journey. Every administration has done something, but have not done enough. Things have taken too long. And now, as a force together, we are going to make it happen.
Okay. Sorry about the audio. Did you hear it, Chris? Did you come across?
Yeah, you can hear most of it.
Okay. Well, that video is a few years old, but nothing has changed. And that's the reason why I brought it back, just to show that nothing has changed over the years. And so the time has come when we have to either put up or shut up. And so we as Jamaicans and we as brand ambassadors worldwide, this is not, I've read about the same thing going on in other parts of the world, Bangladesh, it happened in Africa, it's going on all over the world. And this is what Unpositive is all about. This is what Mr. Ash is telling us to do. To go out there and change the world and make it a better place for everyone. No woman no cry anymore. No children no cry. No mankind no cry. It's going to be up, up, up from now on. And we're going to reach a new top when it comes to abusive women in Jamaica and worldwide. And so that's that concludes my presentation of that. And if you have any questions, you need to you can just let me know. Thank you much.
You know how to stop sharing that screen there, Vitel? Go to the top.
Yeah. In the green?
Yeah, it should be at the top. It'll say stop share.
Okay. All right.
There you go. Well, let me be the first to say, Vitel, it takes a lot of strength to do stuff like this. Like you just said, and this is this is us. A lot of it, I say, is our fault because we allow it to happen. We don't do anything to get, like what you're doing, I commend you. This is the kind of stuff people should already been doing, but the issue was we had a lot of talking and no action. We had people that were afraid to say something because they were afraid of their lives being threatened, which in a lot of these countries is like that, including the good old USA. And it's time that we stand up and we make a stance. Everything that you're talking about on here, from the food processing to people being violated as a woman or a child, even men get abused. And when is it going to stop? This is 2023, if I'm not mistaken. In a world, we still have racism. We still have people beating on people. It's unbelievable to me that this late in these years, and of all the trauma we've seen, and however old you are, we've all witnessed this stuff. And you see that lady up there trying to tell people, hey, enough's enough. We want to do something about it. But yet that was what, 2 years ago you said, and it's still the same thing. So I believe what you're doing is, I commend you for it. It needs to be there because as much as we're trying to stop things like this, it's always going to be someone that's evil that is just going to get away with it. And what happens is a lot of the women or kids are just afraid to say anything because it's either their father or their husband. And they, for some reason, they feel like they don't want to get him in trouble, but I'll just keep getting beaten. That's got to stop. It is about education. Mostly it's about women that are afraid. Now, I know tons of women in this family that maybe even be on this panel that were abused. They stood up for themselves. They walked away from it, even though they were scared to death, but they don't get beat on anymore. And then they went out and helped individuals who are going through the same thing. A lot of things that I want to say on here, it's especially the people out there, is if this is happening to you, there's people out there that will listen and help you. And you're looking at a whole bunch of them on these YouTube channels right now. We have help for everyone. Okay. Bless is going to be there definitely to help you. But as of right now, if you're in that situation, reach out to any one of us. Okay. Not every one of us are qualified to give you the right thing, but we can talk to you. And I promise you, we'll get you to the right educators that will help you go through this process. So, Mattel, I'm going to hand this back to you, my brother.
Yes, Chris, thank you very much for your kind comments. And yeah, this is a worldwide phenomenon, Chris, and we need to at least start to put a dent into it. And if Mr. Ash's dream is to level the playing field and make the world a better place. And so we need to start doing that. Start with the women. Start with your mom, your sister, your daughter, your granddaughter, and your granddaughters. And so if we all make a commitment to support projects like these, it's going to happen, no doubt. I see a Romalo. Romala, come on. You have
Hi,
a question there?
Romola.
Ramola, thank
And
you,
this is
sorry.
my friend Evan. He's from Jamaica.
Oh, okay, how you doing?
Doing good, doing good.
He cooks really well. Yeah, I love when he cooks, but
What does he cook?
well, fried plantain. He makes this chicken that's great. He used to make acai and salted fish. I
Yeah.
could go on. And
Wow.
so and he
Don't tell
likes-
Mr. Ash that now, he'll come over.
so I'm involved with a few charities. Not
Yes.
getting too big now because I don't have the money, but on the top of my list, this is exactly what I want to do. I have too many family members, my mother, friends, who have just gone through this, and they're in New York, in Florida, and there needs to be more places. There needs to be more places so women know oh, I could just go there. I could just go there. You know, there's a place here in Florida where I am called City House. And they do just what you said. They have, you know, beds, and they help the mothers get jobs. And there's also men that get abused too. You know,
Sure.
women, single parents. It's really something that's very, very close to my heart, because it's like a quiet monster that goes on and needs to be, you know, spoken about, dealt with if it could. And this is something that I really wanted to be an Obless about, because this is what I really want to do. So I just wanted to say that.
My question is, wouldn't it be best to tackle, you know, like first to handle the prevention of it, like by finding them housing? That doesn't prevent it from happening.
Well, we can't get into, what are we supposed to do? Get the abusers to go to psychological counseling? We can't do that.
Well, I think you'd first have to, you know, the government, I think that.
Well, what this is doing is to provide temporary, you know, you have a search and rescue plan right here. And then, you know, you got to find a way to train them and give them all the counseling, psychiatric, psychological counseling. And the great thing about what we're doing here now is, you know, we can do all our counseling through OConnect, Ocademy, you know, that type of stuff. So we don't have to be there. It can be long distance counseling going on. But the main problem that I see is to get the women out of that environment where they are in an abusive environment, because it's going to lead to death in most instances. I'm glad you mentioned about men also, because just tonight I was listening to the news here in Central Florida, and I heard where this 14-year-old rescued his father from his mother.
Yeah.
Right? He called the cop, and she was stabbing him. He's in the hospital right now. And the 14-year-old steps in and rescued his father. So it's on both ends. But honestly, it's mostly on the female side, mostly. But it's on both ends. Any other further question, Ramon?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Sherry, you're next.
Yes, first off, Mr. Smart, thank you for this subject. It is very hard for me to talk about this, but it's not about me. This all has to start with breaking the chain, and a lot of it brought up from the children. So I'd love that we're going to have on Joy to have the children learn a little different way. And we do need to break the chain. If I would have not broken the chain from the position I was in, not once, but twice, I don't think my kids would be, they may have picked up on things, but I believe that they would have gone down the same route I was going down. So it needs to start with the kids, of course. And because the kids are watching. I had a lot of things happen behind closed doors, and I was very unfortunate. And having a place to go is very important. So that first off, to get away and to know you're better off. If anybody needs help here, whether you're listening to this on here or anytime in the future, I am here to help you. I've been through it a couple of times. So it has to start with the kids though, when they're brought up, because maybe things they saw in their household that happened to them, and they think, oh, that's how it's supposed to be. So then they do it again, and it just keeps on the cycle. So you definitely have to break the cycle. And that is the main reason why I'm alive, is because I wanted to break the cycle. When my kids seen things that they shouldn't have seen, I said, no, Mike, that's it. I have to go. I have to risk my life. I have to leave and I have to risk my life to save my kids' lives so that they don't continue in the same cycle. So it has to start with the kids. And yes, men get beat too as well. And we have to do this because our kids are the mainstream for our next generation. And so knowing that we have Old Blessed is going to help in so many areas, it's just phenomenal. And I want people to reach out to me because I do know that you may be fearing for your life. Please reach out to me. I was through it. It's not about me, but I want you to know you can get away. Like I was going through scenarios where my ex-husband at the time, he knew people who worked for the law. He knew somebody who worked for 911. I was completely strapped. So know that you can do it because you're here for a reason, for a purpose, and you deserve better. Don't let and it all starts with naming names. It starts with them cutting you down by names. And then it collides more and more and more. And even if you let me give this point out to others, if you see somebody being abusive to an animal, that means they're going to be abusive to you too as well. Please get out. So I'm here if anybody needs me. I don't want to talk long. I just want you to know I'm here for you. You are important. You deserve better. You have a life. You have dreams. You will touch somebody. And the only reason why I share this is so I can help somebody. Thank you so much. I'm passive is the answer. Thank you, God. Thank you, everybody. I love you all to pieces.
Thank you so much, Sherry. Sorry about what happened to you, but I'm glad you are out of it now. And I'm looking ready to rescue somebody else. So how can anybody get in touch with you? How can they get in touch with you?
They can email me. I'll put my email in the chat.
Okay.
And we can go from there. I'm
Okay.
here to help, and even with your project worldwide, my thing too is to also help. Like I'd like to for the kids once they're in like a place like that you had listed, to help them get away as well. I would like to go and help do like some kind of craft or something to help kids to get through this as well. Like for instance, maybe they want to draw something. Drawing something would help release what they're feeling as far as the people who have been, in that position. So I will put my email in the chat.
Okay.
I'll just use the regular email, not the old mail at this point.
Very, very good. Appreciate it very much, Sherry.
Here
And
to
all the
help
best.
anybody. Thank you.
All the best. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Uh-oh, we lose Vittel? Jana, go ahead, Jana. I'll tell Phil and for him till he gets back here.
Hey, Vitel. Yeah, I don't know if we lost him or not, but yeah, I love what the presentation. I just want to make a few comments. I come from family background when my dad was, mentally and some physically abused to my mom. So I grew up in some degree of that, and I love the whole presentation. And I know it's nationally, it's all over the places. It's not just Jamaica, it's all international. It's been a problem for a really long time. And I think part of my heart is to, in some degree, definitely to be involved because I've seen what it has done to me over the years and to my mom. And I love what the presentation, what Vital was talking about, because with me personally, my mom, she didn't have the way to go. She didn't know where to go because she was trapped. She felt like, that's all I have. I don't have a job. How I'm going to take care of my children if I leave my husband, right? So we had to endure some of the things because she had no way to escape. So I love what I've heard here tonight because I feel like a lot of the women or moms, an example, my mother, she didn't have choice. She had to stay where she was, because otherwise, if there was maybe a facility she could have went, then, you know, things would be different even in our lives, you know, as her children. But yeah, I love everything what I've heard. I'm completely 100% for it, and I definitely can see how we can also be involved, even with the food industry, to helping out in this type of situation, and work with Vitel and the team if they go to Jamaica. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you much, Yana. We're together. We're together and we make it happen. God bless you. Mr. Bruce, how are you, sir?
I'm very well, Mr. Vittel. Vittel, you have the strength of a lion, the heart of a lamb. And I want to thank you for everything you want to do there. One of the things, I come from a state of knowing that abuse of any kind is an addiction. And in order to break the chain of addiction, you have to find out where it came from. And a lot of this came from how, like, if you have an abusive husband, or abusive boyfriend, or whoever you have, they grew up with that and they learn that that's the way you behave. And a woman, a lot of times, learns that love is expressed through anger, and they get trapped into that sieve of going downhill. So it's very hard to break that chain, like Sherry said. What I see in your place of where you want to have women, it's more like in addiction, they have treatment centers so that people can build themselves up and they can be nurtured and they can be encouraged and they can find that they have true self-value instead of thinking that's what I deserve in my life. Because a lot of times abused people, and I know many, think that that's what they deserve, and they're blamed for making somebody else angry. And it's just a lie that they buy into. And breaking the chain, as Sherry says, is very, very important. But it all takes, one of the things that's true is no matter where you go, you always take yourself with you. So if you bring yourself into a home, you still bring the same person who's abused. And you have to work on nurturance. You work on uplifting yourself. You work on those things. So this is, as I see it, very therapeutic, not just the body, but therapy in terms of communication with other people and not being alone and not thinking that you shouldn't talk to other people, which many women get from men. Don't talk to them. Don't have friends. What do you need friends for? You have me. And they think that that's what they need. And what they need really is to have themselves, because abused people are lost in self-loathing. And they get into that thing of not believing in themselves. With Oblast, with everything about Unpassive, and with the spirit that we have here, we have people who can uplift people. And it's very important that not just to have that online, it's very important to be held, to be touched, to be felt a human being who genuinely cares for you, only because you're a human being and you're deserving of greatness, and you're deserving to know that your soul is beautiful and that you're perfect, and there's nothing you have to do to make somebody love you. What's important is for you to love yourself. So when we learn to love ourselves, guess what? We get to have people who are more positive around us. We get to feel like we can talk with other people. We can be more sociable. We don't have to be afraid, but it takes time. Just like Unpassive takes time. Building yourself up and lifting yourself up and learning to believe in yourself takes time. But I want to tell you, I'll do anything I can to help anybody, no matter what the condition may be, because we all are deserving of God's love. We're all deserving of each other's love. We're all deserving of respect and appreciation. And we're all deserving of the most important thing of all is love. And so what you're talking about, because the Jamaicans know love. That's say love, man, say love. So I know that you would come from that place because you grew up with girls and you grew up to know how wonderful they can be. You learned it from your mother. And thank God you have loving parents. Many people don't have loving parents. So they get to learn how to express themselves in ways that are not healthy. What you want to do is get people to learn how to express themselves in a healthy way. You know, if somebody gets angry and throws a sneaker at you, that's a weapon. It's not a sneaker anymore, it's a weapon. And we have to remember that words can be weapons, fists can be weapons, sneakers can be weapons, anything can be a weapon because it comes from anger. So we have to remember to do everything through love and compassion and let go of any kind of judgments we have. So I'll do whatever I can to help you, Michelle. And thank God we have this conversation now. It will take time. It will take a lot of heart, a lot of strength, like I said, but this can be done one person at a time. One person touches another person, another touches another. And that's how we build on the spirit of love throughout the world. So I want to thank you, Chris, for having Patel here today, and John and her husband. And I know they'll work together because when you have freeze-dried food, you have a way to store it so it doesn't spoil. The biggest thing is to freeze-dry your own body, freeze-dry yourself so you don't spoil. And do that with love and heart. So I want to thank you for giving me more time than I normally speak, but this is a very important subject to be looking at for everybody in the world, to love each other. It's all we need is love. Thanks, Chris. Thank you, Patel.
Thank you very much, Bruce. And the key words are there, love and compassion.
Yes, sir.
Love and compassion. Thank
Yes,
you very
sir.
much. Well spoken, sir. And now we have someone that step up to the plate, Smart brand ambassador, Vinette Smart Bruni. Go ahead and speak up, lady, my sister.
So I commend you for that presentation, my brother. Jeff and Jana, that was a great presentation as well. Thank you. But everything I wanted to say has already been addressed, so no need to go over that anymore. But I commend you, my brother, for making the decision to take on such a big project, because this is truly a big project. But you got my support. This will definitely open doors for women, not only in Jamaica, but nationally and globally. And I'm glad that, it was addressed that men do get abused too. It's just not as talked about as women. It gets swept under the rug because they're men, and men are supposed to be tough. You know how that is. But men do get abused. Men do get abused too. They just don't talk about it. But, I'm sure, as time will go by, men will start coming out, and, there'll be shelter for them as well. So thank you so much, and God bless. Good presentation.
You're welcome, my dear. Thank you very much. Mr. Richard, you're next, sir.
I love all you beautiful men, women, and children of the world from the bottom of my heart. Well. She was talking about abused men. Hey, Vinette, I'm one of them.
Wow.
But I don't mind telling my story.
Wow.
Because you see, there may not be any homes for us, but we have a brain, and we were given a heart from God full of love to conquer this. I know what it is, mental abuse, and I'm still getting mental abuse, even at 75 years old, from a lot of people I know. But I also know what physical abuse from a wife is, because I used to stand in front of the daughter because the wife wanted to be the daughter. So who got the punches in the kisser and who got the kicks between the legs? I did. And because I'm a non-violent person, I can't hurt a fly. Well, you can imagine what I went through. But we need, you know, there's a lot of places right now for abused women and children. And that's why I have a high respect for single mothers that got out of this mess. Okay, they're struggling. But one of my goals is to help the single mothers of the world is one of my goals with Obless. But homes, places, my daughter's got a BA as a social worker, and that's where she works. She's been working there for, I'd say, about 15 years. About every second year, the workers end up with a nervous breakdown. Why? Because of the horror stories they hear. That is very hard on human being to work in a place like that. Very hard. But we need thousands of those places all over the world. You know, like in the city where she works, there's 2, but there should be 5. Because they can only help that person for only a certain amount of time. They can't keep them, you know, more than the given time by the government. And still, the financing is up and down, up and down, up and down. So there is, Obless will come in to help a lot of places like that. And I have for my sake that once On Passive launches, I think we're going to have a lot more of the politicians listening to us. So I think we will correct a lot of the corruption. That much I know. So I think On Passive is going to really, really, really heal this world. I mean, healing of this world is On Passive. That's my opinion. And I can't wait till we get those news on Saturday because I'm going nuts. But you know, we have to think of all the people that are out there that have been abused, that are trying to survive, that are having a hard time. We have to think of all the old people that have to choose between having a meal or having medicine. We have to help people to be able to live their life in their homes instead of in institutions. You know, Obless is gonna make miracles in this world. Myself personally, when they ask, you know how they supposedly they're gonna ask us, well, where do you want your founder's position to go when you die? Well, you might find this funny. My choice is Obless. I'm not worried about the other human beings. They can take care of themselves. 100% of what I have when I die is going to go to Obless. And the only thing I'm going to ask in return is to let people know that this guy that's up there, he's got some wings now and he's flying around you and he's watching over you. And I leave you all with that. Big kiss, big hug to all of you. I love all of you.
Thank you very much, Richard. You've said it. The healing of this world is paramount right now. And with On Passive, with Obless, we're certainly on our way. Certainly on our way. Patricia, you're up next.
Hello, Mr. Smart Vattel. What a great presentation. I'm grateful, thankful, and blessed to be here because I am one of those abused physically, mentally, socially, sexually, you name it. I've been through it. But you know what? If it wasn't for God, I wouldn't be here today. And we do need to change one of your things in the presentation where you called it a compound. Please don't do that because it feels like a jail, a compound. And the women are deserving of much, much better than anyone that is abused, whether it's men, women, or children. It should not be called a compound because it's a safe place where they can recover and learn and be taught how to move forward. So that's the only thing that I really was, I don't know, it got emotional when you said that, but I know things can be changed because it's just a presentation and we all learn together, you know. And if we stop and think about the first time anyone was abused or whatever it was, the situation, what goes through your head at that time is, what did I do wrong? How can I change it? But as it goes on and on, you think this is normal because that's what you're told. And it's not normal, folks. It took me over 45 years to realize it before I could accept what was happening and be the confronter, to confront my abusers. And that's what everyone needs to get to, is to be able to confront them so that you can accept what happened, because anyone that is abusing someone has a story of their own also, whether it's past history in their lives or a problem that they had. This is my personal opinion also. And when they realize, because most of them don't, it's either alcohol, drugs, something that led them to where they were, or they were abused at one time also. Doesn't matter if it's physically, mentally, emotionally, sexual. It doesn't matter. Everyone has a story where it began. And as been abused, I realized we have to find out where the beginning is. And once I heard from my abusers that you can learn to understand what is happening in your own life and what happened in theirs. So as we move into these safe shelters, Mr. Vitale, we are all able to learn and be taught and to accept and forget. I don't know if you call it forgetting, because I don't think you ever forget, but you're able to forgive. And that's the biggest part, is to be able to forgive and move on and be stronger. Because like God always says, it's a lesson that we have to learn. And I believe I've learned many, many lessons in my life. I've been through, like I said, many things. I've been through surgeries that we all had to learn, you know, back surgeries, for instance. I've had 6 of them. I had to learn how to bend down, how to pick up anything and not hurt yourself. And it's the same thing when you've been abused by something or someone, that you have to learn how to start over and be that stronger person. Because I believe in my heart that I am a lot stronger today from when I was. I always had God in my life, but I didn't know what true love was because of that. I'm not sure how to even to say it, but I know we really need to stop and listen to our own hearts, our own intuitions, and go with it. And if anyone is out there, because I talked to Chris about this, that I have a lady that's wanting to commit suicide, and it's because of abuse. But she was a drug and alcohol addict. And how we try and help them is to get them to a safe place. But there's not enough of them. And now I've lost contact with her, so I don't know how to reach her. And it breaks my heart because I know there is safe places where we can get help to help her, even if it's in my own home, because I've been through it. It's someone that you can talk to, you can share stories that have helped me, that will help her. I don't know, but I know there is things that we can do as a one-on-one. If we listen, we open our eyes and open our ears and speak from the heart. I have to stop because I'm going to get emotional. But thank you, Mr. Smart. But the only thing I do is recognize that this is a well-needed project, and Oh Bless will change many lives as we are wanting to start our village here and help all in need. It doesn't matter what the situation, there's so much need out there. Thanks, Mr. Smart and Chris, for having me speak today.
Patricia, I hear you. I hear it coming from your heart. And just a little clarification. Sometimes when you're going through research, you may come across terminologies that were written in stone before, but trust me, Unpassive and Oh Bless will never be setting up any compound. I can guarantee you that. All right.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Just to clarify that. Mr. Mamadou, how are you, sir?
I'm fine, sir. Good evening, Mr. Patel, and good evening to all my beloved brand ambassadors all over the world. Good to see you all. You know, I just want to thank you very much, Mr. Patel, for this presentation and for this venture, because I 100% agree with you on all what you've said with regard to this issue, because it's a burning issue and it's a global issue. You know, as you rightly call me, my name is Mamadou Jallo, and I came from Sierra Leone, but presently I'm in the United States. And when I was back home, everything you've highlighted, I saw it with my naked eye. And it's something that sparked from all levels, ranging from friendship, marital, parental, and every sector of the society, whether religious and everything. So I totally agree with you, and I commend you for taking up this issue. So I'm with you. But what I see we need to do is to embark on education, because people are being abused based on belief. Some men, they think they have more rights than women. And some people, they think religion permits that to happen, especially in terms of parental, in terms of marital. You know, you see a husband is maltreating his wife, and you see the wife, you know, totally obey whatever circumstances the man decide, you know. So it's like some of them, religion sometimes play a part, because when people believe in certain religion, they think, oh yes, as per religion, it permits that. I'm supposed to obey my this, my that, you know. So that's how the abuse, you know, goes along, and people accommodate it. But I think if we embark on education, that will highlight some of the issues and empower this sector of these people to know that, yes, I am in friendship with this man, but I also have my right as a human being. You know, I remember one time I went on vacation back home. You know, we all was talking in the group, and this guy was talking about how his girlfriend is this and that, and you know, so I had to come up and said, why do you think you have the right, you have right over this girlfriend? You don't think this your girlfriend has right to as a human being? I said, first of all, your relationship with this girl is a partnership, because she came from a family which has human right, and you came to a family that has also human right. You have the right to do whatever you want to do. And both of you met. You agree to establish relationship. Why do you think you have right over this woman? You know, but because of this, as I said, lack of education and this religious belief, they think, oh, man has superior over a woman. At the same time, father or mother has superior over their kids, so they can deal with them anyhow they want. Forget that they are human beings too. You know, so but if we embark on education, I think that will play a greater role to address this issue. And I totally agree with you, Mr. Patel. Thank you very much for coming up with this.
Thank you very much, Mamadou.
You're welcome.
Education is the key.
Yes.
And don't forget now we have our academy. That's going to lead the way. We have all the tools and passive. We just have to start to utilize them once they get activated.
Yes.
Appreciate your support, sir.
Thank you
Appreciate your
very
comments.
much.
All right. Okay. There's no more hands raised, but just the last segment of this, you know, we talk about the physical abuse. We talk about the emotional abuse also. What happens up to these ladies or these gentlemen after they leave the shelter? What happened to their emotional well-being? And so very briefly, I'm going to have Paul and Anne-Marie to talk about that. Anne-Marie, take it away.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you so much. Hey, Chris, long time no see, just every other day in your videos. Thank you guys for having me again. I was here a few weeks ago and I had the great opportunity to just share what we've been doing here in London, Ontario, Canada for our community members. I met Mr. Vattel on this platform and it's been a pleasure, which has led me to meet the wonderful food producers, the farmers, hearing their passion and their drive about, you know, world hunger and stuff like that, children and family, and that's what it's all about at the end of the day. So I'm Anne-Marie Ricketts. I've been doing, supporting single mothers. 2022 was our 20th year anniversary. We've been in business. We're government-run charity. I tell people all the time that we don't care about the kids. We're all about the mother. But at the end of the day, we have to fix the mothers so we can fix the kids. These are the children that's going to be taking care of us. And you might have seen me up here with my blanket. I'm freezing in here. I turn up the heat and it's like it's not working fast enough. So I see everybody in their short sleeve and I'm a little jealous over here, like, wow. But I'm telling you, it's all about change. And these are the things we go through. It's a warm climate. Sometimes it's cold. sometimes it's hot. And this is what life is about. And we talk to our parents about this, our mothers. Sometimes life is warm, sometimes it's cold, and sometimes it's hot. What do you do when it gets really cold? What do you do when it gets really hot? And after speaking to Mr. Vitale about this wonderful project that he's doing, and I'm like, yes, it's so needed. I don't know how many people might be watching the news or come across the news where we're from, which is Jamaica. How many women are being murdered? Let's start from there. We're talking about abuse. We're talking about emotional, mentally, physically. But then at the end of the day, women are being abused and children constantly. I think last year they were saying 1 every other day. And that this is not just a guess. This is what was happening in the island. And I'm wondering, like, what's going on down there? Like, something is in the air. I don't know. But the murder rate has really stepped up. So when Mr. Vitale was talking to me about it, I'm like, Dad, this is down my alley. And I'm like, but really, how many shelters are down there? What are they doing about it? So, you know, just doing a little digging and stuff and talking to him and watching a few videos, we realized there is 1 or 2 shelter, but what level, as he said, what level of support and structure is there? What comfort zone? And one of the things that I know single mothers have been addressed with many years, and that's with hand-me-downs. And again, I am here to tell people, single mothers, women, children, even single dads, we don't need a handout or a hand-me-down. Most people just need a helping hand up. And it's all about saying, you know what? When you're falling, I got you. I'm right here beside you. You're not alone. And I think that's a key elements that we all have to present and represent, that, you know what, your neighbor next door, you sense there's something wrong, get up, speak up, talk. Sometimes people just want to be heard. Sometimes people are afraid of even sharing because they're ashamed. And, you know, we constantly talk, and I'm like, you know, from my work and my experience, I was a single mom for many years with 3 children, beautiful children. I kind of like them every now and then, but, you know, after all, they're really nice kids. They turn out to be very heartwarming, you know, caring young adults. And that's what we need to help produce, is warm-hearted adults, because of the way the system has taken us in and that's holding us captive. You know, all those things are being diminished. We're losing that essence of family dynamic and life and love. So one of the things that I do know, that physical abuse is wrong, period. And it heals. You do heal. And the scars sometimes do go away. However, you see, the emotional abuse and the mental abuse is what determines your outcome in life. And mental abuse sometimes can last for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, but that's not the key element. And I think a lot of people miss that part. The piece that is a real danger out there is not just the emotional abuse. Oh, sorry. It's not the emotional abuse, but it's the problem that is being transferred to the children that's up and rising and coming. And these are the children that's going to be running our world and being in our home elderly care. They're going to be in the politicians. They're going to be taking care of our food. And that's the danger, because the children are our future. And once a mother or a woman or a man can heal inside by being able to, what people say, what does that mean, healing inside? What is that? They could get counseling. No, counseling is wonderful. And I know counseling work because I've had it myself. The difference with a counselor and a life coach is counselors usually listen to you and then they tell you what they think you need to do to make the changes. But a life coach helps you to dig deeper inside and help you to figure out what you need to do to make those changes. Because we can't go to the doctor and say, doctor, my son is sick, but he can't make it. Can I get some prescription? I take that prescription, I go home and I start to take the dose and take the medication thinking my child is going to get better. It doesn't work that way. So until a person is ready to make those changes and can, recognize the things that they need to change, we can only support. And that's where the shelter comes in. And where after the fact of being able to find a safe haven, being able to say, this pair of shoes is squeezing the heck out of me. I don't like how it feels anymore, so I need to take it off. And that's what people go through in life when they're going through tough and challenging journeys and hard decisions to make because it's breaking their heart. It's their husband, it's their first love, it's their children's father. They don't want them to get in trouble, but you're hindering them from making changes in their life when you don't take a stand in life for yourself. And when the children see all of this, it becomes a repetitive. So what we do here in London, Ontario is we're not here to force someone. We're not here to repeat programs that's out there. What we're here to do is to help them to fine tune where they're at, where they're coming from, where they're at, and where they want to go. And not only that, but what tools do you have to help keep you afloat? Because no matter how much we say we get that oomph and I'm ready to rock and roll and I've got this, yeah, I'm going to be making money and I'm going to be living this fancy life, passive is going to change my life. It does, financially, but mentally, emotionally, are you really truly going to be happy? Right? Are you going to be able to enjoy that finance? So how do we start from within and help you to come and flourish outside? And that's to give you some tools that you could fall back on. And they're so simple, right? I had a mom and she was livid in the circle. She came up to one of our sessions and her kids are either driving her crazy or she's driving the kids crazy, but we had to figure it out. And it was all about getting ready in the morning. Simple little things. Okay, so tell me how your morning goes. Okay, well, here's what you can try. Not to do, but you could try. And one of the things I said, let them sleep. Let them sleep. Get up and crank the music in the house and do your thing and watch them crawl out one by one. Pre-prepared the night before. Take out, let everybody take their clothes out. Let them start to think about what they want to eat. You see, we as women, proud, strong, Black, beautiful, strong women usually take it all on by themselves. Why? Because they're accustomed to do it by themselves. So reprogramming, reteaching, resharing knowledge and skills is what we do, because what works for me might not work for you, but what works for her can really help, enhance your life over here. So that's the epic that what we get when our Let's Talk About It and the mothers get together and you hear one mom complaining about the next. And this is what they do. You know what? This helped me when I was going through that. And this is where I went for help. So information transformation is very vital. And that's something that women will benefit from, being in a safe haven, having a stepping stone to make the changes. And that's where I would love to support this project. I am so gung-ho about it. Actually, I'm excited because I see a dance studio, I see art studio, a basketball court, where people can let their stress out, enjoy their journey and their process. And it's not a nightmare anymore. It's a joy mare of changes and change to come. So that's my little piece. I know y'all have been there sitting down, listening to a lot of journey. I'm not going to take you down the lane too far, but there's so much to enhance. And it's the beauty of the things that we as people going through life ignore and forget that music changes the soul, you know? And one of the things I always encourage women to do is, what makes you happy? No school, no job, no nothing, not because you have to, because the doctor say you're going cuckoo, but what do you love to do? Go back to your childhood life. Me, I like to dance. I'm not good at it. I thought I was, but there's always room to learn. And I did try to learn, but I like to dance. I like music. And when I'm in a bad mood, music tones my environment down. And these are the little tools that we need to remind people, you're not alone. We're there. So I am so proud of Mr. Vattel for this massive project. It is so needed. And once it's done, it can be duplicated to go right across the world, right? And we've talked about this freezing of food, and, you know, I just envision, you know, we have here right in my backyard, where over by a church where they rent garden space. People from the community rent and they plant food in the summertime and then they bag, and we do it too in my backyard. We plant stuff that you won't get in the summertime here, winter time, and we bag it and put it in the freezer, and throughout the winter, we have greens to eat, right? We also have to remember that the food that's being planted and the chemicals and stuff that's being used on these products that we're purchasing and putting in our bodies every day is another epidemic. So teaching women how to create and make, even, you know, even if it's tomatoes to last for a year, they could share it with somebody else and get something. Back to the bargaining of life. You know, I could braid your hair, give me some tomatoes. You know, so those are some of the things that we can also implement in small communities, bringing back the bargaining system where I can help you on the farm on Tuesday. You could help me reap my stuff on Wednesday. So some of those things there's so many things. And I know so many brilliant people like yourself, like-minded people like yourself. I am telling you, ideas can flow. 3 heads, 4 heads, and 6 heads are better than one. And I know with different culture, different background, when we get together, we make an impact. On that note, it was so wonderful seeing all you guys again. Thank you so much for sharing.
Anne-Marie, I didn't
Yes,
know you were a dancer.
I try.
She's a break, Vattel. She's a break dancer. She's breaking everything in her body trying to dance.
Trying to dance.
Oh man, I keep hearing the transition being made to food again, and we're on this team together. I called my friend Chris that I've spent over 30 years in the food industry. Over 30 years. And I have a lot of ideas in that area myself to bring to the table. Because, you know, when I hear Jeff and Yana talking about reason, And then I just remind me how much we're on the same level right now. Put all these plans together. We're gonna make it work in Obless. We're gonna make it work. And I think moving forward with you and our team, Anne-Marie, Jeff and Yana, and everybody else, all the brand ambassadors, we have 110 right now on the call. We all going to do it together and make it work. All right, for the benefit of mankind. I don't want to butcher your name, but I call you Miss Miller. You're up next. Your first name. I don't want to
You
butcher.
got it. Thank you. Yes. Thank you for bringing up such a sore subject. It feels even shameful to me to talk about it. I haven't been through it, but I have the sister who went through it for 40 years. And Anne-Marie is right. The strongest women take it all on themselves. And she ended up thinking there was something wrong with her. But I'm surprised that this issue is more common. I thought this kind of things belong to Middle East and third world countries, but I see it's more common everywhere. And when you were talking about it, I was feeling like hiding under the table and believing this, but I'm glad I hung in there after I listened to Richard and to Pat. And so thank you, Anne-Marie, for whatever plan you have, and for Obless program, whatever eventually plan you have to contribute to resolving and helping this issue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're here to work together, and we're gonna let it happen. We're gonna let it happen. It's gonna be a matter of time, so just hang in there with us. Mr. Ash is putting his plans together. Just be patient, and we're gonna let it happen. All these women out there who are being abused mentally, physically, emotionally, there's gonna come a time when you'll hear Bob Marley's song, "No Woman No Cry." No more. We're gonna put a stop into it. But it's only a matter of time. And I think this is what Mr. Ash Mafari has created this business for, to level the playing field and let everybody be happy.
Yeah.
And I hope we all can all work together. Chris, what can I say, sir? Appreciate the opportunity to make this presentation. You've been a brother, and I love you, sir. Back to you.
I love you back, Vattel. You know that. Hey, by the way, this is a very comfortable shirt, by the way. Fits me very nice. Too large, perfect for me. I want to thank John and Jeff. I want to thank Anne for coming back, because if you guys remember, she did one heck of an Obless. I think it was more than a few weeks ago, but we'll call it a few weeks ago. And especially Vattel, who reached out to me, who sent me this phenomenal gold book. You know, and I'm going to be a little blunt here. A man that has to hit a woman is a coward.
That's right.
And a woman that keeps taking those beatings doesn't know any better, and it falls back into education. Do I hold that against them? No. But, and this is my heed and my warning. If you are around me and you hit your girlfriend or your wife, you're going to have to hit someone that's going to hit back. Even I don't agree with the violence, but don't ever let me see anyone do that, because I'm a Christian, but for some reason, when I see that, I go a little off Christian on you. But there's no reason for anyone to fight. I've always said this. I always thought there was never reason for wars. There was never reasons for hate. We as humans, we do get angry. We lose our tempers. But these individuals that are losing their tempers so much that they got to punch someone in the face, especially someone that probably loves them, even though they don't really know that that's not love. I'm going to let you know. If you are on this panel or listening, and You think that's love because your husband or your wife abuses you? That's not love. That's a sickness. It can be educated, but the problem is we got to separate you. And these homes and these buildings Vattel is trying to tell us about will give you that breathing space to get away where you're not in fear. To those who have left, the Sherry Dursaways, the Pat parents, okay, thank you for coming on here. You are brave. You're very brave. And then to come out, reach out to help people of something you've gone through. All right. Like Vattel said, as men, all we can do is say, we're sorry that happened to you. All right. People do change. People do change in their marriages and their lives. Some get happier. Some just might get a little more aggressive. That is not life. That is not love. So reach out to anyone on here. If you're going through one of those situations, we'll get you the help that you need as of right now. But Oh Bless is going to be, this is one of the things that Oh Bless is going to be tackling through us. Like I said, Vattel and a lot of Jamaicans I know that can't be on here tonight are loving this. They're taking care of Jamaica. All right. Me, I want to take care of Michigan. All right. The farmers, they want to take care of all the farmers with the food. I mean, it all comes together, guys. It's life. We need food. We need healthy food. We need the anger to stop. We need people to stop hitting people. This ain't right. Man, if we can go 1 week without no wars and no one getting mad, you would feel it in the air. You really would feel it. So I'm glad you came out tonight. We started a little early. I'm up to doing an Oh Bless anytime during the week since we're not doing too much. We are doing a lot of migration still, but it's always good. I want to thank you, 4 individuals, especially Vattel, for coming on here. Very, very professional and showing us something that a lot of people are still trying to hide. Let's not hide the bad things anymore. Let's bring it out. Let's show the people who do this, we're not going to take it anymore. Are we going to get you? No, we want to help you. We want to educate you so you don't hurt someone who does love you, so they think, or yourselves. We don't need that. Your kids certainly do not need to be in that environment. All right. It's going to make them think differently. I guarantee it. So I want to say I love every one of you. Thank you for coming on here. I appreciate Bruce Gerstein. Thank you for helping me with co-host and anyone else that was on there. I didn't pay attention to it too much tonight. I want to thank individuals like yourselves who just want to do something different, who are tired of seeing the same, I'm going to say it, crap over and over and over again, and no one really wants to do it. Let's change that. Let's take one step at a time. All right. Homelessness, one step at a time. Abusing women, children, men. Let's change that one person at a time. We can do this, guys, gals. We can look at Anne Marie. I could probably follow Anne Marie for a week and better myself just listening to her. Sure, to educate me. All right. There's people out there. Maybe you think, oh, I'd never get you would learn when you see what she's got to go through on a daily basis. Call a social worker. My daughter, is a social worker, but for senior citizens. Pretty tough. Be a social worker for young kids that have gone through battles with their parents. It's not so much fun, but we can help them. All right. On that note, don't you forget tomorrow. I think it's in the back office, 11:45 for the light show, 12:15. We will be having a corporate webinar. Be excited for that. And I want to remind you what Ash Mafara said. He said, come really just to listen what he's got to say. Be excited, but he really wants you to pay attention. On 360, which was a blast for me, because I get to make fun of him a little bit and maybe take some of that stress off his head, make him laugh. Myself, Marty, and Red. He said a lot of things between the lines. I'm not sure you really understood it, but it's all good for us. He did say, you all are first, I'm second, I'm third, basically, different ways. Okay? Pay attention to that. We have some pretty, I think, powerful individuals in Unpassive right now who are up there with Ash. And I think everyone knows Dr. Super, I call her. Everyone fell in love with her. instantly. I know I did. And when I say fall in love, I mean, she just blew me away. Okay. Engineer Muhammad Kamal, he's blown me away even when he was a founder. Absolutely love the guy. Say prayers for the Bafaras, the Supers, the old media, Hyderabad. They always need prayers, and say prayers for all of yourselves too. Start out with just saying a prayer just for yourself and then take it on. Kind of like, Ash says, let's fill our gas tanks. But man, we could still fill gas tanks and help along the way. When he says fill gas tanks, don't tell him. It's a secret. I'm going to be filling someone else's gas tank because I'm going to be riding a bike. I think it's going to be fun riding a bike around and say, hey, I'm going to go to a gas tank. Listen, guys, there's so many things coming your way. When you get your magical link, who knows? Could be in a week. Could be tomorrow. I don't know. I'm not lying to you. I don't know. But when you get those magical links, work it. Get it out there. It's totally different now. All right. You know what I mean? The apples are going to be coming. And Jonna and Jeff, I'm sorry about your 10 cows. I'm sure the good Lord will help you and get that milk going again. So that's late sometimes. But I'm going to say goodnight to you all. God bless. I love you. And keep doing what you're doing. And thanks for everyone being here. I'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.
Don't forget Rob Lynn live too. Good thing I seen Lynn's face. 12 o'clock. Check that out. They always got something fun going on there. All right, guys.
Thank you, Chris. Love you, Chris.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye,
Be ready for
Bye.
tomorrow. Exciting.
Bye, Lynn.
Oh my God! Someone give Harold Fox a
Bye,
hug.
Mamadou.
I can see it.
Josie.
Bye, Mr.
Bye.
Fitz. Bye, Brother
Bye,
Chris.
bye, everybody. Bye, Anne-Marie. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Hope you